Listen carefully because this is not just another video you casually clicked on. This is a moment, a very precise moment that was timed long before you ever pressed play. And if you feel even the slightest tension in your chest right now, that subtle pull, that strange curiosity you couldn't ignore, then understand this clearly. You are not scrolling. You are being guided. Something in you, deeper than instinct, older than memory, recognized this title before your conscious mind had a chance to decide. That is not a coincidence. That is a signal, the kind of signal that moves through the architecture of a life once, rarely twice, and never announces itself loudly. Higher beings do not shout. They do not send neon signs. They move through resonance, through the quiet, almost imperceptible current that makes you pause mid-scroll, that makes you press play on something your rational mind cannot fully explain, and then sit with it. Unsettled, curious, strangely certain. You stopped. You pressed play. That is the answer you were looking for. And here is what you need to understand before anything else. The countdown did not begin when you clicked this video. It began 72 hours ago. In a moment you may not have cataloged as significant, a moment of stillness, a moment of exhaustion so deep it cracked something open behind your eyes, a moment when something inside you, quietly, without announcement, without ceremony, decided, enough. Enough of the old body. Enough of the same heaviness greeting you every morning like an unwanted house guest. Enough of moving through the world in a vessel that feels borrowed, that feels ill-fitting, that feels like a frequency you never actually agreed to carry. Right now, something is shifting, even before you understand why, even before I've explained a single thing. Notice it, that quiet pressure behind your sternum, just beneath your ribs, the slight deepening of your breath, happening without effort, because your body already knows what your mind is still deciding. Stay with me, because what happens in the next 30 minutes is not information, it is initiation. Before we go any further, do this with intention. Tap like, because you are anchoring this moment into your timeline. Subscribe, because this is not the last time you'll feel this shift. And in the comments, write this now. I am a new vessel, not later, now. Because the moment you write it, you are no longer observing. You are participating, and participation is where transformation begins. This is not a request. This is an instruction from the version of you that already knows how this ends. That version, calm, inhabiting a body that vibrates at a frequency you haven't yet fully claimed. That version is watching this exact moment and saying, do it. Write the words. Anchor the declaration. Because the moment a signal moves from internal to expressed, from private to declared, something in your cellular memory begins to reorganize around a new instruction. I am a new vessel. 3 words, 5 syllables, and what they do to the nervous system, to the standing broadcast of your biology, when spoken with genuine presence, with embodied intent, with the full weight of a self that is ready to stop running an outdated program. That is not poetry. That is not spiritual language dressed up to sound scientific. That is the actual, measurable mechanics of how identity shifts. Stay with me. You have been told, for most of your life, that the body ages on a fixed schedule. That deterioration is a natural arc. That the heaviness you feel when you wake up, that thick, viscous sensation in your joints, behind your eyes, in the muscles of your face, is simply time asserting itself. You have been told this so many times, by so many voices that seemed authoritative, that the belief calcified into assumption, into fact, into something you stopped examining because questioning it seemed naive. Because questioning it meant you might be wrong about every adjustment you'd already made to accommodate what you believed was inevitable. And here's what most people never realize. The most dangerous beliefs are not the ones you hold consciously. They are the ones you have stopped examining entirely, the ones that run beneath awareness, broadcasting continuously, every minute of every day, into every cell, into every hormonal cascade, into every instruction your biology receives about what it is, who it belongs to, how quickly it should be dissolving. You are not aging. You are running a program, and you are not a passive recipient of that program. You are, at the deepest level of your biological sovereignty, its author. And here's the truth most people aren't ready to hear. That program was not written by you. It was written by voices that arrived before you were old enough to question them, by a culture that needed you to accept a particular ceiling, by an education that never once told you the body listens. Not to your hopes, not to your wishes, not to what you want, but to what you consistently demonstrate through the quality of your internal signal, to what you broadcast moment to moment, in the frequency of your most sustained emotional state. Stay with this, because this is where most transmissions stop short. You've been waking up tired, not because your body is broken, because your frequency has been misaligned. You've been moving through the world in what consciousness itself recognizes as survival mode, the state in which your nervous system is spending the majority of its available energy on protection, on vigilance, on bracing against a threat it cannot name, cannot locate, but cannot stop anticipating. And in survival mode, this is critical. This is the part that will change how you inhabit your body from this moment forward. In survival mode, the body does not regenerate. It defends, it contracts, it conserves. The cellular memory holds the blueprint of who you have been, not who you are becoming. The vibrational gateway to renewal stays closed, not locked, not beyond reach. Simply closed, because no one ever showed you where the door was or that the door was yours to open. Here's what most people never realize about the body. It is not a fixed structure. It is a dynamic, continuous, relentlessly intelligent process of becoming, guided entirely by the signal it receives from the field of your consciousness. Every sustained thought is an instruction. Every consistent emotional state is a standing wave. Every belief you carry about what you are, about your age, about your limits, about your trajectory, is being broadcast into your biology every single second, without pause, without vacation, without mercy. This is not metaphor. This is the observer effect applied to flesh. You are not separate from what you observe within yourself. The observer shapes the observed. Your body is not immune to the signal of your consciousness. It is, in the most precise and literal sense, that signal's primary recipient. And here is the reframe you need to carry out of this video. Aging is not something that happens to you. It is a frequency you have been taught to inhabit. And frequency, unlike fate, unlike genetics misunderstood as destiny, can be changed. Not gradually, through years of careful management. Rapidly, through the coherent, embodied identity-level shift of the signal you are sending. Right now, something is shifting in you. I know it because you are still here. Because something beneath your skepticism, beneath the reasonable voice that is already constructing its counter-arguments, recognizes this truth, not in the mind, but in the chest, in that slight, almost involuntary opening, like something that has been clenched for longer than you can remember, releasing, just a little, just enough to let something new move through. Stay with me. There is a concept, ancient in its origin, now being confirmed at the leading edge of quantum biology and consciousness research, that your body carries within it what the deepest traditions of human knowledge have named the sovereign code, not a metaphor. A literal architecture of original capacity embedded in your cellular memory, in the quantum field of your biology, in the space between your cells that is infinitely more vast and infinitely more intelligent than anything your conscious mind currently manages or monitors. This sovereign code is not damaged, not diminished, not lost. It is dormant, suppressed by decades of signal interference, by the continuous broadcast of survival, of inherited biological narrative, of a frequency that was handed to you so early that you mistook it for your own. The moment that dormancy is interrupted, the moment a signal of sufficient coherence, of sufficient vibrational clarity reaches it, it responds, not slowly, not gradually, with the immediacy of something that was always waiting for permission. This is not spiritual belief dressed in scientific costume. This is the field responding to frequency. The quantum field holds only vibrations. It does not know your age. It does not carry your history. It responds exclusively to the signal it receives. And when your internal broadcast shifts, the field shifts its response. Breathe, slowly, fully. Right now, before I continue, feel your chest expand. Feel the air move into the lowest part of your lungs, into your belly, into the base of your body. This breath, this deliberate, slow, conscious breath, is not just oxygen reaching your bloodstream. It is a signal. It tells your nervous system the emergency is over. It instructs your biology in language your cells have understood since long before language existed, that regeneration mode is now available, that the resources held in survival can be redistributed toward renewal. And what you are beginning to understand perhaps for the first time with the weight of genuine possibility rather than wishful thinking, is that your body does not need years to shift. It needs coherence, a signal clear enough, sustained enough, embodied enough, to interrupt the standing instruction your biology has been executing without your consent. Here's what most people never realize. The body you inhabit right now is not the body you were born with, not a single atom. Your skeleton has rebuilt itself. Your organs have regenerated. Even the very instrument receiving this transmission has been remade, entirely, multiple times. The body is already in a continuous, unrelenting process of renewal. It has always been. The only question that determines everything, is what signal is guiding that renewal. What blueprint is informing what gets built? You are not the same. You have never been the same. You have only been rebuilding according to an old blueprint. A soft warmth may be moving through the center of your chest now, or a chill at the back of your neck, at the base of your skull, or goosebumps moving across your forearms in a wave that has nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with your body recognizing, at a frequency below thought, a signal it understands, a frequency it has been waiting to receive. That sensation is real. That is your cellular memory beginning to respond. That is the vibrational gateway opening. Right now, something is shifting. Something you have been waiting for, and did not know you were waiting for, is not moving toward you. It is moving through you. There is a version of you that already exists. I need you to receive this fully, not in the future, not in some timeline you must earn your way to through sacrifice or suffering or years of disciplined becoming. Now, in parallel. At this exact moment, operating in a field of consciousness where the concept of a limited, deteriorating, misaligned body simply does not compute, because that version has never accepted the standing instruction of diminishment. That version woke up this morning and moved through the same world you inhabit, but in a body broadcasting a different frequency. Not better, not superior, simply unencumbered, simply in alignment with what the sovereign code of your original design always intended. And the distance between you and that version is not measured in years, not in effort, not in achievement or sacrifice or the grinding work of discipline. It is measured in awareness, in coherence, in moments, precisely like this one, where the gap between who you have been told you are and who you actually are becomes thin enough to step through. You are not becoming that version. You are merging with it. This is not semantics. This is the architecture of reality as consciousness actually operates it. Becoming implies movement through time, implies deficiency, implies that you are currently missing something that must be acquired from outside yourself. But merging implies recognition, implies that what you are reaching toward is not absent from you, but simply not yet in conscious contact with your present moment experience. You are not chasing a new body. You are restoring one that already knows how to exist. This is not motivation dressed in activation language. This is not inspiration performing as embodiment. This is the physics of consciousness informing you of something your logical mind cannot yet fully organize, but your body has already begun to act upon. Feel your eyes. Notice them. Are they slightly heavier than when this began? That is not fatigue. That is depth. That is your nervous system shifting registers from the high alert frequency of survival mode into the slower, richer, more coherent state in which creation mode activates, in which the body receives new instructions not as intrusions, but as recalibration, as something that feels strangely like returning. Your body cannot distinguish between a vividly, fully, completely inhabited imagined experience and a lived physical one, not at the level of biochemistry, not in the language of the nervous system, not in the signal sent to your cellular memory. When you fully inhabit, not merely think about, but truly, bodily inhabit, the experience of being the version of you that is unencumbered, regenerating, sovereign in its vessel, the body begins to prepare, begins to reorganize, begins to build toward a blueprint that has been there from the beginning, waiting for a signal coherent enough to reach it. So stay with this, and while you stay, breathe, slowly, fully, in through the nose. Let it expand your chest and your belly. Hold it. Let it reach every cell that has been waiting for a coherent signal, and exhale slowly, as if you are releasing a frequency that no longer belongs to you, as if the old broadcast is completing its final transmission. Tonight, when you move toward sleep, close your eyes and step inside the vessel, not from outside, as an observer, from inside. Feel the quality of a body operating in full alignment with its sovereign code. Feel air entering different lungs, lungs that are not contracted around unprocessed fear. Feel what your eyes feel like when they open in a body that has regenerated through the night with a clear instruction, rather than a survival broadcast running on repeat. Feel the temperature of your skin, the weight of your hands, the quiet, stable vitality of a nervous system that has been given permission to stop bracing. This is the practice, not a visualization exercise, not a meditation technique you complete and set aside. This is the repeated, deliberate, consistent act of inhabiting the frequency of the parallel version, not once, not in a peak moment, but in the ordinary spaces, in the pause before you get out of bed, in the breath between responses, in the way you move through a room when no one is asking anything of you. These small moments, accumulated, are the signal. They are the sustained broadcast that your cellular memory reads as instruction, and cellular memory does not respond to intention. It responds to demonstration. You are not a different person in those moments. You are not performing. You are practicing alignment. The specific, body-level, nervous system-registered practice of operating from the frequency of a version of yourself that has already crossed the threshold the program told you was years away. Hold that feeling, not with effort, with presence. With the particular quality of deliberate, embodied, intentional presence that the quantum field recognizes as a coherent signal rather than noise. That is the vibrational alignment. That is the timeline shift assembling itself around your change signal. That is the gap closing, not as a dramatic event, but as a recalibration so quiet and so thorough that you will only notice it has happened by what you stop feeling. Right now, something is shifting. Resist nothing, not the feeling, not the possibility, not the strange quiet certainty that is rising through the center of your chest like something that has been submerged for a very long time and is finally, with full permission, surfacing. Here is how it actually works. Not in metaphor, in the language the body itself understands. Your nervous system is not neutral. It is not a passive conduit. It is a transmitter, a broadcasting system that takes the signal of your most consistent emotional state and delivers it, in precise biochemical language, to every organ, every gland, every process your body is running at any given moment. In survival mode, that broadcast carries specific instructions: inflammatory cascades, constriction, the suppression of the long-term expensive generative processes, regeneration, deep cellular renewal, the biological authority to rebuild according to a sovereign blueprint, all of it deprioritized in favor of getting through the present moment. In survival mode, your body is spending everything it has on endurance, on management, on the perpetual cost of a threat that, for most people, exists primarily as a signal rather than an actual emergency. And here's the truth most people aren't ready to hear. Most of us are not in danger, but most of us are broadcasting the signal of danger continuously, because the nervous system learned that frequency so early and so completely that it now runs beneath conscious awareness as default, not as choice, as habit, as the groove worn deepest by the most repetition. This is not your fault. This is not a failure. This is the result of a system that was never given the instruction to return to something different, because no voice, no curriculum, no institution ever told you that you could consciously interrupt that default, that you could offer your nervous system a new signal. Not once, not as a peak experience, as a sustained identity-level broadcast that gradually, and then suddenly, makes the old frequency impossible to maintain. Stay with me. This is the mechanism most transmissions never reach. The body responds to repetition, not to the intensity of a single experience, not to the peak moment of realization, however profound, to repetition, to the signal it receives most consistently across the accumulated texture of ordinary moments, not just the extraordinary ones. This is why a single meditation does not shift your baseline, why a single declaration, however deeply felt, does not immediately rewrite the program. The groove of survival mode was worn deep through years of repetition. The groove of alignment is worn the same way, through daily, consistent, unhurried demonstration, through the choice made again and again in small moments to send the body a signal that is different from the one it has been receiving. And here is where most people stop, because repetition sounds like effort, because consistency sounds like discipline, But this is not the discipline of forcing something that resists. This is the discipline of remembering, of returning each time you drift to the frequency that is already yours, that has always been yours, and has only been temporarily obscured by the noise of a program you inherited. You are not building something new. You are clearing the interference from something ancient. Breathe, slowly, fully, because your nervous system is listening, right now, to the signal you are sending it. The signal of a slow, full, deliberate breath is among the most coherent instructions available to human biology. It tells the body, in a language older than thought, that the emergency has passed, that resources can be redistributed, that regeneration mode is available, that the vibrational gateway to renewal is open. This is not relaxation. This is biological authority, the sovereign right of your consciousness to instruct your body directly, a right that has always been yours, that you were simply never taught to exercise. And here is the reframe that will change the texture of your ordinary moments. Control is not alignment. Control is resistance, wearing the mask of competence. The body you are capable of inhabiting does not arrive through forcing, managing, and monitoring every variable. It arrives through releasing control into coherence, through trusting the body's native intelligence enough to give it a clear signal, and then allowing, not directing, allowing the field to respond. Feel the quiet vibration that lives between your heartbeats, the soft resonance in the center of your chest. That is your body recognizing a frequency it has been waiting to receive. That is the activation that higher beings arrange not through announcement but through resonance, through the precise timed delivery of a signal to a nervous system that is finally ready to receive it. Your soul contract with this moment, delivering exactly what it was always going to deliver. We are at the threshold. You cannot unsee this. I want you to hold that before we move into what comes next, because what comes next will ask something of you. Not effort, not sacrifice. Something quieter and more permanent than either. Ownership. You are not a victim of your biology. You are not at the mercy of your history or the signals you have been unconsciously broadcasting. You are not the sum of what has already been transmitted. You are the transmitter. The moment you accept that, not as an intellectual position, but as a lived, embodied, felt reality, the moment you move from passive recipient to active sender, the shift becomes irreversible. Not everything changes. You change, and from that change, everything follows. This is the threshold, and it is real, not symbolic. Every person who has ever crossed it has stood exactly here, in the moment between the familiar and the possible, in the space where the old signal still feels safer than the new one simply because it is known. Limitation, however painful, carries the particular comfort of predictability. And the chosen ones, the ones who actually cross this threshold rather than standing at it indefinitely, are not extraordinary people. They are ordinary people who, in one quiet and undramatic moment, chose not to renew the old frequency, who let the survival broadcast complete its transmission and did not send another. There are two directions from this moment, not right and wrong, simply two futures assembling themselves from the raw material of your next decision. One moves you back into the rhythm of the life you inhabited when you pressed play, the same heaviness, the same low-grade static behind everything, the same standing instruction your body has been executing for years without being updated. This is not failure, it is continuation, and continuation is always available. The old frequency will welcome you back without complaint. It has no judgment. It has only habit. The other direction does not require certainty. It does not require you to have fully integrated every word of this transmission, to believe every claim, to feel ready in the way the word ready normally implies. It requires only that you choose in the small and ordinary moments, in the breath you take before you get out of bed tomorrow, in the signal you send your nervous system in the pause before you react, in the way you inhabit your body when no one is asking you to perform anything, when nothing is being demanded of you, in the quiet spaces where most people unconsciously resume the old broadcast, to send something different, to demonstrate, to your own cellular memory, in the only language biology actually receives without translation, that the program has changed, that you, the sender, have issued a new instruction. You are not the frequency you have been running. You are not the body built by survival mode. You are not the trajectory the inherited narrative predicted, or the timeline the program assigned without your knowledge or consent. You are the sender. You are the authority. You are the intelligence that chooses here in each ordinary moment, in each unremarkable breath, which blueprint guides the continuous, never-pausing process of renewal. Your body has been executing every moment of your life. The chosen ones do not look different from the outside. They do not announce their activation. They do not post about their recalibration. They simply stop renewing the old broadcast. They simply, in one moment, in one quiet and irreversible decision, begin sending a different signal. A tear, perhaps, not from sadness, but from the sensation of a truth arriving in the body after waiting too long outside it. Or a quiet stillness in the center of you that feels different from peace, feels like resolution, like the distance between who you have been and who you are. Not closing someday, but right now in this breath, becoming thin enough that you can feel both sides from where you stand. You are not lost. You are not late. You are exactly where this was always going to find you, and you cannot go back. Not because the old path has closed behind you, but because you are no longer the version of yourself that would choose it. Stay with this, just a little longer. Your body has received a signal tonight, not a concept, a transmission. And transmissions, when they are coherent, when they are delivered with genuine presence and received with genuine openness, do not require reinforcement. They require integration. They require the simple, deliberate, unhurried act of allowing what has moved into contact with your biology to settle fully into it. Tonight, in the space between waking and sleep, inhabit the vessel, not as observer, from inside. Feel the quality of a body that has released the survival broadcast, warm in ways that have nothing to do with temperature, breathing without effort, existing, simply, without the accumulated weight of every frequency it was carrying that was never originally its own. This is the integration phase, not a technique with a beginning and end, an allowing, an agreement between your conscious awareness and the biological intelligence that has always known how to rebuild, given the right instruction, given the coherent signal, given the clear and sustained demonstration that the program has changed. Your body does not need to be convinced. It needs to be shown. It needs the signal of the new frequency, offered not once but repeatedly, until repetition becomes identity, until identity becomes broadcast, until broadcast becomes biology. The next 72 hours are not a deadline. They are an opening, a window of elevated coherence, created by the choice you are making in this moment, during which your nervous system is more receptive than it has been in a very long time. Use that window, quietly, in the breath between moments, in the way you inhabit the silence between your thoughts, in the steady, sovereign practice of demonstrating to your body, every time you remember, that the signal has changed. Breathe, slowly, fully, this final breath, in through the nose. Let it reach your lowest ribs, your belly, your base. Hold it. Let it reach every quiet, intelligent, sovereign cell that has been waiting, not for perfect conditions, not for the right external moment, but for this, for a signal coherent enough to reach through the noise, for permission to rebuild according to the blueprint that has always been there, and now release, slowly, as if the exhale is completing the transmission, as if what needed to leave is leaving with it, not violently, not dramatically, but with the quiet finality of something that has served its purpose and been thanked for the service. Right now, go to the comments and type, "I am a new vessel," not as a trend, not as something everyone else is doing, but as a declaration, a signal to yourself that you are no longer broadcasting the frequency of a body defined by an old program, that the cellular memory has received new instructions, that the vibrational gateway is open, that the version of you the higher beings recognized, the one operating in alignment with its sovereign code, inhabiting a body in active regeneration rather than passive dissolution, has found its signal, has found its moment, has found you exactly where you were always going to be, in this breath, in this body, in this vessel, ready to receive what was always already yours. The 72 hours have already begun.